There you go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which was also my drag name, by the by.
yes.
But yeah, so I think we are gonna be 1 second away from live on YouTube.
Live on it says live on YouTube for me. Like,
Oh yeah,
I've been live on YouTube.
you've been live.
I've been live.
I just got live.
I've been live since '95. You know?
Yep. And if you can or can't hear, that's my son screaming in the other room that he's ready to be live on YouTube, and he might be running in here. So we'll see what happens. But we do have Marcus Henderson here live with us, live on YouTube. And you know, I just wanted to talk to my friend, and I think that the people who subscribe and listen to the Dumbbells know that, you know, we actively talk about everything and anything we can about being healthy, you know, and that means mentally healthy, and that means, you know, physically healthy. And yeah, maybe there's a honey bun somewhere in one of our homes right now, but that doesn't necessarily, that's not a bad.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh,
oh, multiple?
Oh,
Gee.
God.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah.
Christ, man.
What a disaster. What a confession.
What a confession. But we're here and we want to talk to
I
you.
brought my dumbbell.
Woo.
Oh, hey. So that's the balance.
What is that? 35 pounds?
That's 35, baby.
Damn.
That's valuable, man.
He's literally just throwing it around too. Like,
I mean, you could probably get $500 for that, probably.
yeah, that too. Yeah.
It's impossible to get that shit right now. It's still tricky. It's still tricky.
It is real tricky.
That's what I heard. I was trying to get a bench, man, and like everything I saw, I was just like, I don't know if I want that bench. I need to like be able to like,
I know,
get out on it or something like that, man.
You want to be able to go to a store and get it, you know, test it out. That's not even happening right now.
They don't even let you sit down on stuff when you go inside of places, though, man. Like, don't sit on that. Or is that just me? Is that just the racism?
Yeah,
still happening in America. You can't sit on that.
That's what we wanted to address: is going to a Dick's Sporting Goods and not being able to sit on the benches.
Well, they got that name for a reason, you know.
Yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah,
we're using our platform.
Yeah,
we're using our platform for a good cause, and that, you know, making sure anybody can use a chair anywhere to try it out.
We want to make sure that anybody can jump on whatever elliptical they want in the Dick's.
That's true. An elliptical dick.
What do they know with Dick's? Do they know it's like their name? You know,
they have to.
Come on, right?
They gotta know.
They play some sort of like play on words with a commercial or ad at some point.
They had to.
They got it. I mean, that's the only one that's lasted, right? Because Sports Authority, that one's closed down. Sports Chalet is closed down.
I mean, I'll be honest. Speaking of normal, but like these corporations that are closing down and all this stuff because of COVID. But let's be honest, if COVID didn't get rid of Soup Plantation, this week would have gotten rid of Soup Plantation. Right? Soup Plantation will be gone regardless during this 2 months. They weren't going to make it.
They weren't. It's no way.
There's no way. No way. Nobody wants to start with that big of a salad either.
We knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
we ripping us off.
Man, oh my goodness!
But
they got to feel lucky that like it was the buffet style eating that ended them, as opposed to their horribly racist name. Like, no, we ended okay.
Yeah. It's the buffets that was our problem. It was the buffets.
Well, and they had sweet tomatoes, half of them. Why not go all the way with sweet tomatoes?
I don't know.
What was that? What a weird fight.
What a weird fight.
It's a weird time, man.
Yeah, it is a weird time. But Marcus, we are so happy that you are here too. Talk to me, see me, be here. We get to talk quite a bit, and we have been in contact with everything, even us just being crazy with our kids at home. But But right now, you know, you've been, if you are a Dumbbells listener, a Bell baby out there, and and Marcus has been on the show before, but if you don't follow him on Instagram, he's been posting some great content of just his thoughts, and I've been reposting them because they're fantastic. I mean, it's just a voice and a view that is unique to him, but also not to the situation. So it's just like a different, and it's just like I don't know, like just the way that you have been able to articulate it for people who might just not want to hear somebody angry or are offended by an angry voice in that way too.
I think that's one of the things that, sort of plays a role into, my whole life I've had to, because I'm a bigger guy and I'm a bigger black dude, I've always had to like sort of find a way to come off as non-threatening, like that's like the forefront of my mind. I can meet you and be like, hey, how you doing, Ryan? But I'm not thinking like I'm not present, because the first thing I'm thinking is make sure that I am de-escalating, this situation right now, even though there's nothing hostile about it.
Right.
But I just feel that whatever it is that makes people feel that way, I want to find a code. I want to find a cheat code, and how to get through this life without feeling discriminated against. So I'm a beat the discrimination before it can even come to me, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But anybody with common sense knows that that's bullshit, and you can't do it no matter what you try. So I've always, my whole life, have had a complex about like, all right, man, I want to be taken the way that I am presenting myself, and not the way someone assumes that I am. So I think that's what really calls to the wanting to be articulate about a point. And the crazy thing is that I've had several of conversations behind closed doors where I'm like, oh my God, like that's it. That's the answer. Oh, I wish I could share it. But you know what, man? Like, ultimately, I found that it's not my destiny to figure out America's shit. It's not my destiny to make sure that, that people have comfort in the world right now. Like, that's not my destiny. What my destiny is I feel very strong that I am supposed to be here to be an example for whatever reason. Like, I'm here to be an example and just live my life. And people can see, like, most of the people now where I'm from, they're like, man, you from where I'm from? That's inspiration just to watch you doing what you're doing right now. Because people where I'm from don't do what I do.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact. You know what I mean? Like, there are other avenues to do things, but specifically like leaving St. Louis, going to Yale, going to Hollywood, nobody has done that. So, and I'm quite aware of it. But I don't let that be the thing where I say that's the thing I'm going to go out here and teach everybody. No, like I'm just going to keep living my life. And hopefully that's an example to young boys and girls from where I'm from to say, like, okay, this is what I want to, I can do this because Marcus did it. And it's no extra to that. It's just simple. It's a really simple formula, So it's just been me and my thoughts and just like, and then I had the encouragement of a friend of mine who was just like, we're not hearing this in the conversation. I've been reading this book, which is it's one of those esoteric books, man, but it talks about force. And, I talked about it in the live where, it says that force unregulated is basically a harm to itself. And the people's blind force needs a compass. It needs intellect in order to like steer its direction. Wow, man. Nobody thinks like, like you see protesters out there. Hell yeah, they out there. They mad as hell. They ain't got nothing else. Like, I think that a person goes to protest because they innately in their body literally cannot do anything else but go out there and just do something.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like the science behind it. So if that's the case, okay, that's what that person is feeling. But if I don't have that feeling in me, should I still be out there? No. You in order to be out there, you have to feel that. And if you don't feel that, then it's another way for you. There's another avenue for you.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to like kind of be in tune to. And it's hard when there's a cacophony of voices telling you what you should be doing, when you don't really just let everything be quiet and listen to the real voice that you need to hear inside you. You know, it'll tell you what's right. It'll tell you the things that you need to know. But you gotta learn how to listen to yourself and not listen to the media, not listen to your parents, which were their parents and their parents before that, not listen to your friends, or not listen to the 2 Black friends that you may have that have an opinion about. Like, no, listen to yourself, ingest the knowledge, yes, and then like let it come from a real true place, you know. And I think that's mainly what I was trying to encourage, was that your intellect is your experience, and your experience is what ultimately guides you through everything you do. And if you lack something in your experience, then it is so important to listen. It is so important to listen so that you can gain that knowledge and you can start moving through the world with that experience, because now it's shared. You see, if I tell you a story about where I'm from and how I grew up and things like that, you now have the knowledge of something that isn't in your tool bag. Or maybe it is in your tool bag, but you didn't know that that's how the tool worked.
Yeah.
That becomes a shared experience. And now you have the intellect to guide your ship. It just seems like that was my message. That was my message.
Yeah.
So interesting. Something that jumped out at me. I talked to Eugene a little bit, and Eugene and I talk all the time, obviously, but something
not on purpose, not on purpose.
It's accidental.
Just
We're talking, we hear the
business.
person. Yeah.
It's weird. Like you pick up the phone and then all of a sudden you're on there. You're like, wait, I didn't even call you, dude. It's weird.
Get off the phone. But
God, it's in our calendar.
Hearing you, and I've heard Eugene talk about it having to be an expectation or mouthpiece to represent like an entire group, and have that pressure or that burden. And, you know, people talk about white privilege, and there's different examples that we could point to financially and all these things about how I benefited. But another thing is, man, I don't ever have that pressure as a white, like I can just live my life. Nobody expects me to speak on behalf of white people. I can live, I can be successful. I can just be a dad, and there's no pressure there. That's a lot of fucking pressure to have on you to and that, like, one of the benefits of like that kind of white privilege is that I don't experience any of that pressure, and that's bullshit. I mean, you be able to do whatever you want. If you want to speak on behalf of a group, if you want to protest, if you want to do whatever, fine. But you should also just be able to be a successful person in whatever your career choosing is, and not have to waste any energy or thought on anything, unless you choose to, or at your leisure, or when you want. And I think that's one of those, having these like conversations and talking to people and getting uncomfortable, I think is good, because then I start to realize, like, oh, beyond just like the financial metrics or the property metrics or whatever, there's like a spiritual burden that people of color are having to like face, that as a white person, you don't have to, Well,
here's where my friendly nudge of a challenge comes out in the idea of how we think about this, right? So for instance, you travel, right? You travel around the country at all? Do you go out and you do things like you go to the South, and you might go to this place or that place, and then you might come in contact with Black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that, and I think I said something to Eugene about this before, is like, as a person of color, I immediately have to take mental notes. I immediately have to go, like, what type of person are you? Immediately. Now, and we all kind of judge the person that's in front of us,
right?
Already, but it's a different type of like mental note. This person is obviously not thinking about you know, like the space between us and like what the dynamic is between us and things like that. He's just, like you said, you don't have to think about these things, so you can just kind of go and do whatever, right?
Right.
I challenge that you actually do think about these things when you meet a Black person and think, all right, it's not and not in a white savior complex kind of way either, but like in a way of like, I'm seeing you for the first time and I know we share different experiences, but just hearing them as a human and saying like, maybe there is something that I am supposed to learn from this person. Maybe there's some, it's a connection that has to happen.
Yeah.
Before you even come in contact. It's like if you see them across the room and you all know you're about to talk to each other, there's a connection in your mind that you have to have with them, and knowing that I want to get to know this person. I want to hear what they have to say. A lot of times I feel like white people have this sort of like nonchalant, like Joe Rogan, for instance. I love Joe Rogan. I love listening to him. But sometimes I listen to his podcast, it becomes problematic for me because it's stuff that they're talking about that I'm just kind of like, well, I think maybe if you had a different perspective on that, you would think differently about it, because, you know, not everybody is a bottom feeder. You know what I mean? Not everybody that you come in contact with that is on hard times, or every homeless person you see is just like helpless or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
There is a full 3-dimensional story happening with a person in front of you, and you can have the idea of like, well, I'm white dude, I don't even have to care about this. But then I challenge you to actually like to say, I'm gonna think about these things walking into the situation.
Yeah.
When you go to the gym and just saying what's up to somebody that you see on a regular basis, like, you know, you see a Black dude, don't just want to know this Black dude's life because it's like, oh, this is the thing to do. But it's like, I genuinely am making a connection with you, like his name, this person, you know, like it's something about it, man, that I know. I had this thought, right? Like, what if like all this is happening and they start, like, white people start getting a hold of like the games that we play when we walk into a room? You know, like, I know personally, I walk into a room, I see one Black person and see a white, I'm doing like this, I'm looking for them. But I imagine, what if white people start seeing us playing that game when we come in, and they're like, oh yeah, I see them too. Oh yeah, I see what you guys are doing. It's like, oh shit, the game is up. Gig is up. But you know, like that's the type of thing I'm talking about. It's just like being able to be a full human just like that, but also like having the idea that I care in the world. What I do matters. You know what I mean? You might be the first white person that some Black kids meet.
Right.
And that's and you don't think about that kind of pressure, but that's the kind of pressure that you probably should have to put on yourself. And the idea of like, okay, man, like, I'm gonna make sure that, like, you know, they know that like not all white people are, you know, fucking like whatever about your life. You know, like I can go back to this part of town while you stay in this part of town. But you know, it's that kind of thing that I think is called for when I hear that. But not saying that you are in that space at all, but it's just when I hear that, I think, yeah, man, what if a white person started to actually put that type of pressure on themselves to say, you know, I am encountering a Black person. Like you said, we talked yesterday about, you know, if a person sees me in this mask walking outside and they decide to cross the street because, you know, of whatever bias or fear, like, challenge yourself to stay on the side of the sidewalk and just know whatever was meant to happen will happen. Because trust me, if somebody was trying to rob you, going across the street ain't gonna keep you safe. Right. Like, I'm gonna tell you that secret now, white people. If you see somebody and you cross the street because you think it would be safer, you will be robbed regardless if that was that person's intention.
If anything, you've just tracked me to know that you are already scared.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, and that is the thing, like, where it's just like, and we also talked about like safety and what that means of crossing the street or like moving faster or whatever. Like, that instinct to protect yourself shouldn't be based on race. It should just be based on that feeling inside of you that's just going, I am walking down a street by myself at night. It doesn't matter what comes out of the, the
Right.
trees. It could be a fucking bear. I'm staying away from that tree. That's okay.
Yeah. But if it's 3:00 in the afternoon on fucking La Cienega,
Thank you.
it's like, don't cross it. Come on, man.
Yeah. If Marcus
just
is at the fucking, intelligentsia fucking cafe, there's no need to go to the other side of the street.
Don't need to do that, man.
He's already overpaid. You should walk over him and say he's overpaid for that latte. If anything, help him out.
Yeah.
Be like, bro, get something else.
People just need to do like an anecdotal experiment where you think, how many people do I know in my friend group have ever had a violent encounter because of not crossing the street? Zero, probably zero. No, but I can't think of anybody. So there it is right there. I was thinking too, like you're talking about how when you meet somebody, you felt like you were at a deficit and you had to do a lot of work to kind of, try to win them over, or show that you weren't a threat or whatever. And the kind of, how that sucks. Well, you're right. So as a white person, like encountering black people, and if it is their first experience with a white person, I should adopt that same level of deficit, and just make sure it's a positive experience for everybody. Yeah. And then we all benefit. I mean, the side product of that is, or the offshoot of that is that people are more happy. You have a better experience with somebody. Right. That's not bad.
You want to be a pleasant person to this person?
I know.
Because, oh, wow. Yeah. It's fucking nice. Yeah.
Well, what an awful thing to have to endure, Crazy, man.
It's sort of like the other point that I made on the other video I did was I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, one of my best friends who's Iranian American, first generation. And, he's under the, like he's passed. He's had that past that some people feel when they're in those white spaces where, like, all right, I'm not the person they're discriminating against, in this moment, but if you are other in those white spaces, what that shit feels like. Mm-hmm. What that discrimination feels like. It gets masked, it gets like kind of pushed over. But at the end of the day, when you go home and you gotta like fucking look at yourself in the mirror after some bullshit, like, that's where it happens, and that's for anybody, that are in those spaces. When you go home by yourself, you got to really ask your question. Am I eating this red pill and waking up and saying that, no, I don't want to do this shit anymore? Or are you going to keep eating that blue pill and going like, you know what? It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. But it is you. It's always going to be you.
Yeah.
And until you can take that red pill and get uncomfortable and go, you know what, man? Actually, that was messed up what you said. I'll give you an example. Yeah. Because I don't think a lot of people think about this from when I was, but because my best friend's Middle Eastern American, the night that we were in LA, the night Osama bin Laden got killed, and we were showcasing, because that's what they do. We get with NYU and UCSD and Yale all get together and do a showcase. And we were riding from Santa Monica, because we just had our alumni thing, and we were riding from Santa Monica back to the Magic Castle Hotel, and we get the news on the radio. It like just interrupts everything on the radio. It's like news from the White House, and Obama's giving his speech. And I kid you not, my friends' text messages start blowing up from our classmates. Like, dude, right before the work you're gonna get is gonna be crazy. That's what they were thinking about. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh no. Oh man.
And then we get to the hotel and they're erupted like, Bob, you won't believe this. And it's like, nah, man. So I think about that. And I think about like that, you, instead of calling me, instead of hitting me up to apologize, you need to be apologizing to that man, because that's an even deeper level. That's beyond blatant racism. That's blind. That's a blind driver, man.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. So I think that, like, while people feel all good and well about like apologizing to their black friends. Think about those, like, you know, Middle Eastern friends that you made like these Taliban jokes, and your Asian friends where you make these fucking karate jokes, or, you know, like whatever, your Jewish friends about being cheap or something. Like, it's all sorts of things that like you just don't think about came from a supremacy of being white.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna feel like the other.
Yeah.
And some people know what that feels like from just being short or being too skinny.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you have to bring up the short thing, like, and stare at me. Come on, bro.
Fucking Eugene was 2 feet tall in high school. Give us the most staggering number.
I was fucking 4'10" until my junior.
He was 4'10" until his junior year.
It was middle of sophomore year. I shot up to a real hot 5'7".
Hey, dude. Hey, come on, man. You gotta take that 5'7", bro.
Yeah, no, I live.
You gotta take that 5'7".
Bro, I'm telling you, even now, when we brought Quincy to the doctor and they said he might be 5'9" or 5'10", I almost started crying. I was like, "This is insane! What a day!"
You got to do everything you can to keep that going, man.
Yeah.
What they say, stunts growth, eating like a bunch of sugar or something like that. You
got to avoid all that. Get him on some hormones or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep him off the roids, but the boy's getting thick. So
nah, man, take him to KFC, man. Let him have a ball.
Yeah.
He'll be bulked up like Schwarzenegger in no time. Or he'll get moved. Either one.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like all of that, just realization of that, you know, people are also being one of the model minorities in the sense of being there or being around when somebody else is discriminated against, and, you know, getting the elbow of, like, you know what I mean, like, to get a little of that sympathy, because down deep they do feel guilty for it, but they just need the backup of somebody of color to, you know, make sure that it's okay. And it's not my job to make you okay.
Yeah. It's like to me, and I think you know what I'm talking about, Eugene, but if you have to ask me if a joke is messed up or not, then guess what? It's a messed up joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to call that, not me.
Right.
You know, so it's an interesting thing, man,
and that is the thing. And like, as artists and as people doing comedy, and as you know, people are wondering, like, then what else is there to joke around about, or what else is there to do this or that about? It's like, you know what that means? That means you're not creative enough.
Yeah.
Get creative. You know, you'll find something if you are talented at your job. And that's me and Marcus talking about this yesterday. Let us all get on the same page and all be equal, so I can tell you that you are not good.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to tell you.
I'm going to show you that you're not good. Because we were showing you for a long time.
I have to show you already, but like, it's like, give other Filipinos and more people of color the opportunity so that I can beat them at the job. I just want to be able to show you that I'm still the best regardless. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't give me, don't give me. And if somebody else beats me to it because everybody is equal, then fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a competition, because that's all we do is compete. Like, it's in our bones. And I feel like that's one of the things that, is scaring that generation, or the generation that is still, so focused on the, of being the victims in this, or not all this is bad, or not all that is bad, or, and it's just like, it's not about that. You're afraid for your livelihood because of this.
Yeah.
And that is because if you really look down deep in yourself, you don't feel like you're as good as some of the people that you've had to step on to get to where you are.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a rude awakening.
Get ready. Yeah.
An awakening. Really.
I think people need to know that the change is inevitable, but your personal growth is optional. So shit's going to fucking change. Now, whether you choose to grow, you might as well fucking grow,
Yeah.
Yeah. The change is inevitable. The growth is optional.
it's an interesting thing because, you know, at the top of, or at the end of 2019, there were over 570 shows or something like that that were like ready to go or greenlit, going through the cycles of Hollywood. And it's like, you mean 570 scripts that are ready to like be shot and dispersed amongst studios and production companies and stuff like that. And you mean to tell me that there isn't any room for equal opportunity or just more employment for people like, so we have to use the same faces over and over and over for every project. But see, that's the thing, is that there's a certain respect that people have for certain work that they don't have for other work. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest example I can use is Tyler Perry, right? Like, black people are so split on Tyler Perry, at least in my circles, of like, I never do work for Tyler Perry. And then there are people who are like, I can't wait to work for Tyler Perry. And it's just like, people, but there is such a judgment on his work and how he chooses to do it. Business wise, I think Tyler Perry is the man. I think he has cracked the code and he is doing it. And I applaud his success. And I hope it continues. As far as like artistically, I'm not necessarily in the same wheelhouse, and that's okay. That's okay. But I shouldn't have to depend on him for work. I shouldn't have to depend on him to tell all the stories. Yeah. You know what I mean? It shouldn't, that nobody should be that Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Right.
It should just be, man. We should be able to have these stories. I look at a movie like Arrival and I love Amy Adams, but damn, how come a woman of color couldn't play that? How come someone we never heard of color, and I'm not just saying black, I'm just saying of color, play that role?
Yeah.
Five names just go into my head like, oh shit, why not? Try it.
But the reason why not before is because who that is marketed to is a demographic that is not including us. Do you know what I mean?
But see, that's the thing. It's like they don't even give us access.
That's what I mean. So now we're in that place where hopefully it's like that demographic of like, you know, and it does come out to who can buy a house and who can get a job and who can get paid for certain jobs. The demographic that you're appealing to right now is a white man between 18 and 40, 50 or something, because that's who's spending the money, but that's because that's who has the money. And, you know, it goes all the way back. So as soon as that system is changed, then the Arrival can have people of color, because we realize that that's what it's not about, you know, who has the money, because, you know, that should be able to change. I mean, it's the same thing of like, you know, I was talking to Trish about starting out and having to audition for a bunch of commercials. And, you know, I was told that, you know, I'm not going to book anything because I am not the demographic who buys these products, you know? And it's like,
you know, what's crazy though?
Or I'm the fourth one. And that's what, you know, like, you know, they'll make sure that there's two white guys and then the third friend is a black guy. And then maybe fourth or fifth will be Latino, Asian or something. And even that, if it's specific, because it's Tecate, then they'll have the Hispanic guy in third. So they'll have white, black, Hispanic. And then they're like open to the rest of the X-Men after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally see that, but you know what's crazy though, and this is where I'm going to get into trouble, because it's always like white people always reference Will Smith for some reason. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I can't remember who the producer was, but it was a guy, one of the producers on Independence Day, and he really wanted Will Smith for the lead. It wasn't written for a black character. It was just the guy. It was just the hero of the movie. And he's like, I think Will Smith is the guy. I think he can do it. And all the people at Universal or whatever, the studio heads are like, no, we can't have a black man in it. It'll kill foreign. Like, it won't do well foreign. And he's like, Will Smith's fucking superstar. It's got to be him. So anyway, hard fought battle. They got him in it, and he ended up being one of the biggest fucking stars in the world. And they just assumed that people weren't ready for it. But it was like, I went to that movie opening day with all my white friends. We loved him, you know, nobody, it was, you know, and just took this guy, you know, it took them, you know, taking a quote unquote risk, even though there's no real risk involved,
Yes.
and just casting it. And that's, you know, that's what was special about that, is because it was just a guy. It was just anybody, you know, it wasn't written specifically black or anything. It was just it was a good character, and they got the best actor to play it. And it ended up being a fucking huge, you know, it's a movie grossed $1 billion.
It's like it's so disheartening, man, to hear like how like constantly they say that, like, you know, they can't fund movies, or they can't do certain movies, or they can't do this movie because they can't put this person because this doesn't work. And they constantly say that as an excuse, or at least that's the remedy that the films that actually do put black people in the forefront, or put a person of color in the forefront, like they say that, oh, they say this movie can't be made, but we prove them wrong, like, you know, i.e. Get Out or Black Panther or something like that. Like, obviously you can put a black lead in something, it'll do well. They haven't shown us the movie where, I mean, well, yes, they did. They said Catwoman with Halle Berry was the worst movie with a person of color leading. So I guess that makes sense. But
that was a weird fucking movie. If she got somebody good that was making that movie, that was, you know, like, if she got the real Catwoman movie made, it would have been a hit. She was perfect.
I think the writer, whoever the writer is of that one, and the director is at fault for that too.
They fucked that one up. That was a no-brainer. If she got,
but
like,
it was almost like they did it on purpose or something like that, just so they could say, like, see, it doesn't work.
Sure.
But that's what they keep saying, it doesn't work. But like, even if you try and it doesn't work that one time, it's one time out of the 500 movies a year that are greenlit. One time. Yeah, it's like, you give it a chance. So it's so confusing to me.
And the fact that there's two issues with that, of it doesn't work. What is it? And they said this couldn't work. Who's they? Like, both of those things are the fact that both of those words are accepted, and we're not questioning who they are, and we're not questioning what it is what has to happen now.
Basic example I can think of when that happened, I just felt like I can never support this dude. George Lucas went on The Daily Show like some years ago. You remember that movie Red Tails that he produced?
Yeah.
Was that the plane one?
Yeah, the one with Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
He literally went on television, pandered to black people, and then basically cried for his money back. You need to go see this film, or I won't get my money back, in movies like this just won't get made. And it was like, what?
Probably the best George Lucas impression I think I've ever heard.
I've never in my life have heard of anybody going on TV and begging for their money back from the people. Like, I made this for you. Shit. Are you serious? Like, it is so, like, it's stuff like that, man. It just, like, you see that kind of behavior throughout your life, and you just kind of go like, man, this is hopeless, dude. Like, you want to be in a really hopeless place, but I just refuse to lose hope, man. I refuse to lose hope.
And humanity, hopefully, because, you know, there are issues with other countries in the world. But in every country and every place, you know, there's people that hate each other and love each other. But humanity-wise, what you have learned over any history, if it's given to us or thrown in our face or whatever, that there has always been people who are focused on changing as individuals, and, you know, and treating each other fairly and loving each other and that kind of stuff. And with that mentality, even the people that you think are never going to change, you hope that because human nature is human nature, that they will. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is one of those things where it's just like, don't become my best friend because now the aliens are here and we have to stand together as the human race. We are already the human race. Let's stand together You know what I
let's do
mean?
it now before the aliens come.
Let's go because they're coming.
They
We
coming,
saw
man.
that. We saw that shit. We saw that shit. And some of these memes are hilarious of people being like, "What next, us?" You know, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, man. Everything's getting exposed, dude. You know,
yeah,
and that's the thing too. Is like, you know, I have to remember. You know, I don't know if whoever's at home listening and they feel like, get angry about stuff because it's infuriating when you
Yeah.
like literally see Dylan Roof, who killed 9 black people in a church, get walked out in not even in handcuffs, I don't think. And then you hear that he got like a fucking Whopper or something from Burger King on the way to the police station.
Yeah.
And then you just, and then the images of Eric Garner and Philando Castile and George Floyd are all like just floating around in your head thinking like, make it make sense, somebody.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself getting angry about that, try to understand that you are connected to the situation, but that situation is not necessarily connected to you. So meaning that it happened, it was an incident. The incident at hand is over, but the bigger issue is related, and it's related to you. So don't get so angry that you want to like shut off or shut down or detach or desensitize yourself to it. Try to one of my remedies is I speak out loud what I'm grateful for, my gratitude, and it could be the smallest things to the biggest things. The biggest thing being your life. Be grateful that you're alive right now and that you have the opportunity to make a change or do something at this time. Because again, we're on very creative, fertile ground right now. And just find what it is that you can be grateful for, because you start speaking that out loud, you start to recognize that what you're grateful for, like, it really outweighs what you can be angry about. You know what I mean? And that's not another trick to kind of like numb your senses or dull you down, because this is a sharp moment and we got a lot more people on our side now than 2-3 years ago. So I remember when the Mike Brown case happened, or when that situation went on, like I marched around Sherman Oaks with a fucking cardboard sign because I was so angry. I didn't know what to do. And I was depressed because every day there was something on the news about where I was from, and it was an absolute lie. Like, that's not true. And then when I actually went home to look at what Ferguson had become, it was literally a block of damage that the looters had done.
Right.
It was like, come on, man. So I just put this word out there to encourage those who might feel angry, who might feel so lost in the sauce of what they are being fed that you kind of lose where you are. Just take a step back, know that you're okay, and the fight has to continue. You have to keep being uncomfortable. You have to pace yourselves, because you're going too hard, too fast, you're gonna want to drop out the race. You can't do that. You know what I mean? This is a marathon, not a sprint. Somebody was like, I was talking to one of my friends just a second ago, and he was trying to he's like, I don't know what to say, because I don't have any fast solutions. And I said, brother, there's no fast solutions to this. I'm sorry to bust your bubble on this, but this is gonna be an uncomfortable ride. This is a roller coaster, man. And ain't no roller coaster say that this is gonna be safe and comfortable. And don't worry, at the end of all of this, you're gonna be okay. No roller coaster says that. A roller coaster gives you a warning. That some shit might get fucked up. And in any case that something does get fucked up, you can't sue us, because this is just what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And put your sunglasses in your pocket.
Put your sunglasses in your motherfucking pocket.
Because you're gonna lose that and your hat if you're gonna take this ride.
At least you get a picture, though. The picture.
Yeah. Hey, there's a point where you get a picture, but
does anybody buy the picture anymore? Or does everybody just take a picture?
Everybody just takes a picture of the picture.
Oh man, really? I buy the picture, man.
You buy it?
I still buy it, even if it's shitty, because I'm just like, I want the little cardboard thing.
Sure.
It is. Yeah. I like it.
I like that shit.
Yeah, and it does relate to that. It is a marathon, and especially speaking of our what this podcast is and was and will be going forward, it is in that mentality of like, it's not, if you want a better life, you have to work on it every day.
Yeah.
And there's going to be those pitfalls of moments where you stop eating well, or you stop exercising, or you stop, and then there's going to be a moment where it's going to hit you in the face, where you realize that you've gone too far. And the only person that can change that is you,
Right.
And that's it. And there's going to be moments where there's going to be some fuck ups, man. And that's okay. You're a human being. And it's just that if you're learning and staying on the right side of it, and you know that even when you fuck up, that you can change for the better, then change.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not, like that. I think one of the things too is like that pressure of, like the permission that one has to give themselves and actually truly believe in order to change. A lot of times, like, remember when we had our talk at the last Dumbbells interview I did, where we talked about the soda, and it was like, it's not like you can't have the soda. Like, you can have it. You give yourself the permission to have the soda, because you worrying about not having the soda, or if you should have the soda, is actually doing more damage than just drinking the fucking soda in the first place.
Yeah.
So, give yourself permission, you guys. Like, give yourself permission to not know what to do at the moment. Give yourselves permission to be angry or feel like, all right, I am gonna go to the protest, and then realize maybe I don't want to be at these protests right now, and then leave. Like, give yourself permission to still live life. But all that is being asked of you now is to be more aware. Just the conscious space that you hold, expand it.
Yeah. And you
That's
you live it, and it is about you, and that's what it is. And it's like, you don't have to apologize to anyone if what your job is to do is become a better person and to be there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, speaking of that soda thing, I remember being on set for Tacoma during the second season. There was a point where Marcus came to set with the soda and came over to me and was like, man, I gotta have this. It's a late night. I go, bro, it's not for me. Fucking enjoy it. Like let you, it's like, it's for you, man. And I know that you do what you need to do to, I'm not gonna shake my head. I'm no place to
but
judge
do you see
it.
that? Do you see that antidote there of like how I immediately wanted to put that pressure on you of, and we do it unknowingly.
Yes.
We just want to dump our shit on somebody to say, like, because we see the reflection of ourselves in other people.
Right.
So therefore it's like, absolve me of this, absolve me of my guilt, absolve me of my pain, absolve me of this thing that I don't want to feel right now. And it's like, you don't need that. Absolve yourself.
Tell me it'll be okay to drink the soda. And I'm like, it is okay. But you don't need to hear that from me. You need to hear that from you, or fucking enjoy it. Drink it and just go like, fuck, man, that was good.
That was fucking good.
Yeah. It's wild on the white side of things, is like they like the white fragility and all that stuff. Like it's all real. Like we're just like, all white people are just trying to say like, not me. Right. Everybody just wants to say not me. And it's just like, it's everybody. I mean, and like you get all scared when you hear stuff like white supremacy, and you're like, oh, I've been upholding white supremacy. And it's like, yeah, man, it's all, because I have some friends that are just, they're constantly saying, I'm not racist. And it's like, yeah, you are, man. And don't waste your energy on that. Just fucking try to do, at least that's what I'm doing. I don't know. Try to do something, try to have some talks, try to, get involved in a way that makes sense to me. Like you were saying, Marcus. But yeah, there is definitely,
like, please make me feel better.
Yes, it's so real, man. It's so real. It tough.
Reminds me of The Leftovers, when that dude was giving hugs and making everybody feel better. Do y'all remember that? Did y'all watch?
No, I haven't. Is it great though? Everybody
says it was awesome.
It's for me. It's the type of show that's for me. They made that show for me. Okay. I don't know about anybody else. That show was fucking great, man. And I love that dude.
Justin Theroux.
No, the creator. Neil. No, not Neil.
Peter Berg was the director.
No.
Did he do 6 Feet Under or
the
something?
dude that did Lost, the Lost guy.
Damon
Yeah.
Lindelof. Yeah.
Damon Lindelof. That's right.
Yeah.
Lindelof.
Trish loved that show, and she started watching it
I-
a couple of episodes in, and I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And she was like, "I'm already in it."
Yeah.
She wouldn't let me watch. She was just like, "You either catch up or you shut up at this point." And I was like, "Okay, well, have fun.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to watch it. I need something good.
I think it's certainly worth it. You know what I mean? I think that like watching the show, I don't think Watchmen was trying to make a statement or anything in terms of like what they did with that show, but they certainly did make a statement with it, and they said something with that show. I think that's a good show to watch. That sort of comes in with these ideals also of, you know, because I talk about this too. Like, it's weird, man. I got this thing where I'm on 2 battlefields, right? And one battlefield of being black and, you know, and black problems and things you deal with of being a black person. And it just is like everybody's on that field right now. Everybody's trying to run that ball. And it's just like, all right, you know what? I can't, this is a little oversaturated for me. So then I go over to that human side, right? Where I'm thinking about the abundance of us all and how we're all connected, and, you know, the ups and downs of life, and why am I here, and purpose and all this kind of stuff. That, you know, like that's on the human battlefield that you just got to deal with outside of the bullshit, you know? So it's just it's such a weird thing, man. But I think what's important is that I'm able to know which battlefield I'm on in the moment. Mm-hmm. And then I can take whatever is going on for me there and take it to the other one. So now I'm all over here talking about, like, you know, hey, you know, growing patience for myself, growing into my gratitude and how to lose my anger about things. And I'm going to take that over to that black battlefield once everything dies down, in a way that, you know, like everybody's not going to be screaming at the same time. And my voice becomes even more valid because I'm still in this space and everybody else got to go back to whatever it was, you know. Like I look at that as like a very, like, okay, I'm harnessing this human side, man. I'm learning these different things that I need to, like, watching the I don't know if y'all watched the Midnight Gospel yet with Duncan Trussell. But that dude is, I fucking love the stuff that they were talking about on that show. And it's very human things. Like, they deal with everything that is very unique to the human experience. But I think that, like, I would like to know, how do I apply that over into my battlefield of being black? Because I know it's beneficial, but how do I do it? So I've been studying that and reading it and trying to understand, like, okay, man, like, when it comes down to it, like, just in a human level, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? And then once I add this thing of, like, you know, being black and the complexities of, like, what that history has brought to us up to this point, because we were going to talk about blackness before slavery. You know what I mean? We always talk about blackness like after the ships. And literally what we talk about before that is just, like, you know, Mansa Musa, like, all the gold, you know, things like that, you know, royalty and riches, and it's nothing like so specific, at least mainstream wise. There's plenty to be learned, but mainstream wise, there's no real, like, lineage to go back to before slavery for people. So you got to really dig deep or know what it is that you're looking for in order to find that thing, especially for Black Americans. So it's a little bit of a lost feeling too, in it all. I kind of lost what I was, the point.
No, but that's that, like, white supremacy too, where there's no blackness in absence of white. You know, it's like only in your relationship to white people do we talk about it or study it in the United States. Whereas it's like there's this, like, fucking crazy, rich, amazing, and so much to be said. But it's not, you know, it doesn't, you know, in the school, you know, even when the intentions are good, it's still reductive of the experience, you know?
Yeah. And so, you know, I asked my daughter, I was like, you learn about Malcolm X in school? And she was like, no. Like we talk about Malcolm X, and I was like, damn, what have I been doing, man? Trying to rely on an American school system to teach my daughter about why black people are in the place they are today. Like basically Martin Luther King is used as a weapon against us to keep us like docile and down, and in that place of where I'm counting my gratitude to kind of subside my anger. White people use Dr. Martin Luther King against me to say, well, what would he do right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, publicly he would probably turn the other cheek, but behind closed doors, if you spit on him, he probably beat your ass.
Yeah.
So like just know that cameras were rolling back then too, and people were celebrities back then, and they had to keep a certain posture about themselves. So don't for a minute think that Martin Luther King was this sort of docile Negro to just slap up and say that he was so peaceful. It's like, no, he did that because he knew what his destiny was.
Right.
And a big part of that, he needed Malcolm X in order to get that message across.
Mm-hmm.
And so like whenever you talk about Malcolm X around people, they get nervous because it's like you talk about, Malcolm X never talked about like doing evil shit to white people. He just talked about not being an idiot. Yeah. Don't let somebody slap you in the face and then turn your face for them to slap you again, because they will.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that I find interesting, that Malcolm X isn't taught in public schools or not public schools. My daughter didn't go to public school, but he's not taught in schools to a majority of white students. Like what are you afraid of? What are you afraid to teach your children about Malcolm X for? If anything, he taught about common sense. If people should read, I think that should be a big reading for people, is the autobiography of Malcolm X, because that really describes blackness in a very extraordinary way, because he has a very extraordinary story. And that experience is something that I think can be felt universally. So yeah, man, Malcolm X, that was a big point that I wanted to make.
I could tell you it's pretty limited in LA Unified public schools, at least. My son goes to an LA Unified public school.
Yeah.
And school's fairly diverse, but there's not, and even with what's been going on now, trying to, my kid's translucent, like he's the fucking whitest kid. Like he's like, but I'm trying to talk to him about stuff, and he told me, he's like, it makes me sad, I don't want to talk about it. And I said, hey, well, you have to, and you have to know, you have to at least know what's going on. And so and it's wild, like as a parent, and you don't want to like bum your kid out, but it's just, I can't let him stick his head in the sand and pretend like this stuff isn't going on.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, that I stress to people, that is so important, that you will talk your ears off, you will talk your mouth off, and you will talk someone's ears off, and you will never change that person's opinion, because that person has to listen to themselves, as we've established, in order to change. So I'm done in the business of trying to convince a grown person otherwise of something, right? Like that's just not going to happen. Like I've gave that up a long time ago. But children, man, I can tell you right now, it's nothing more important to me than setting the example for kids, man. Mm-hmm. For them to be able to look and say, all right, this is, I can learn from this. This is a learnable moment. My daughter, what I was saying earlier, like I saw that Amazon haul, these like free documentaries and movies and stuff up now that you could just watch. And I was like, and it was all the stuff that I watched when I was a kid. That I was like, oh, this is so cool, man. Like these documentaries, I remember watching them in social studies and stuff. And then my daughter, I was looking for a movie to put on for my daughter and my son, but and at the moment I was just so wrapped up in like, wow, they got everything. And I said, maybe we should watch something like this. And my daughter immediately got like sad, because she was like, oh, I just don't want to watch that. Like whenever I watch white people mistreating black people, it just makes me wish I wasn't black. And I was just like, man, listen, somewhere along the line I messed up, because my daughter at the age of 6 is not aware of the resiliency and the resiliency and the power that she holds just because her skin is black, just because of the endurance that has been just added on year after year, generation after generation, to so that we can be here now.
Mhm.
Man. And so like now it's like, yeah, so that's what got me on the track of like we finna learn today. So every day, you know, I've been trying, and I think that's something that's missing that I would love to partner with people on, or partner with somebody on, is creating like a cartoon that talks about these heroes to me in the Black community, that, you know, that you can learn about with kids. Because most of the time, unfortunately, when I want to teach somebody about our heroes, I gotta end up talking about how fucked up of a life they had and how it ended in a fucked up murder or assassination, as opposed to like, and he died peacefully on his mountainside house that, you know, with a pipe in his mouth, you know, like it's always like, no, that motherfucker died in the pool of his own blood.
Right.
But you know what? It got people off their ass. It got people off their ass, and it got them to like fucking like move. When Medgar Evers got killed in down south, man, it moved people, because there's no way that Medgar Evers should be dead. They moved people. So yeah, of course, man. Like, you know, but I would love to like create like a kid-friendly cartoon that kind of like, you know, doesn't shy away from the stuff, but it makes the pill a little more swallowable.
Yeah. Swallowable.
So yeah, man, I would love to do that. So if y'all know animators or something like that, man, send them my way. We can talk about some ideas.
Yeah, man. Or use any of them puppets behind you, bro.
Oh, bro, that's coming too, man. That's
I
coming
know,
too.
I can't wait.
I got a thing that I've been writing, where, you know, I'm just gonna use the different puppets that are gonna kind of be a part of my mind, man, and the conversation that I want to have with people, and the conversation that I have had with people. I mean, I've listened to some bullshit in my life. I must say, I've never, and I'm always like curious as to, because of my curious nature, I never want to cut somebody off. So no matter what it is they're talking about or what they're saying, I want to hear them out. I want to hear what it is that I have to learn, and I feel it in my body. Now, sometimes if you're talking really ridiculous, I can't listen to that shit.
Right.
I'm not just gonna sit there and listen to you talk crazy
Right.
and expect me to go. But, you know, I can remember one time I was when I was working security at a hotel, and there was this white man, and he was drunk, and I had to take him to his room, and he talked about Appalachia and how the Appalachian man is the man who ultimately founded America. And the Appalachian man, and I had no idea what that meant until I looked it up and was like, oh, okay. Now, if I hadn't let that man talk, if I would have just thought he was drunk and left him alone, I'll never know that Appalachian was just another word for white people, and white people who think they're superior. I'm an Appalachian, you know?
Yeah.
There's an attitude to being an Appalachian, as opposed to just being a white dude, you know, like I'm an Appalachian. And that comes with history, you know? So so I learn things like that, and I'll use it so that I can better understand the world that I'm navigating, because I don't know everything, you know?
Yeah, that Appalachian. That's interesting. I mean, there's even another step to that where you'll hear people like, I'm 4% Irish, 8% German, 10% Dutch. And I'm just like, you're white. Yeah. So, you don't got to get all, I don't need to see the fucking pie chart. I mean, just look in the mirror, you know?
Yeah.
I'm 16% Swedish, 14% Norwegian.
And
I guess personally, it's
interesting. Be able to like celebrate those cultures and those differences. But here's my problem: is when you use that as an identity marker to compare to my identity.
Yeah.
When you go, well, you know, it wasn't easy for the Irish when they came to America. Fuck you! It wasn't easy for the Irish when they came to America. It may not have been, but guess what? Motherfuckers found a way.
Yeah.
And you believe that. If they didn't want to say they were Irish, they didn't have to say a motherfucking thing, and people could just walk past them and go, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the red hair and the freckles, whatever.
Right.
They didn't have to walk around with it on,
Yeah.
for their life,
You have to walk around with it for their life.
Yeah.
Hear about this stuff? Anyway.
Crazy.
Oh man. But yeah, I love it, Marcus. Thank you so much for
Oh man, thanks for coming and doing this. It's good to see
doing
you again.
this.
I miss you. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know,
I'm excited for season 2.
Dude,
the second half of it. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what it's supposed to happen sometime in July here, but
It's July they're starting the second half.
the second half of the second season. But you can watch the whole first season on HBO Max if you've ponied up the money for that again.
Man, I ponied up the money for it, but I think I will be unsubscribing soon. Because I was like, this is it? This is all this is on Netflix. What am I doing?
And it's weird. They got like Friends and stuff, some weird like network shows.
Well, the thing is Netflix will lose all of that stuff soon. And, HBO Max will hold on to a lot of those properties. But, and they'll have more. And if you have HBO Go or HBO whatever, like that means you automatically have it. So you can watch our show now. So if you, signed up for any of that stuff, like you can watch the first season and the second season will be starting soon.
Yeah, show's great.
Too. That felt good to be on the show that like brought so much laughter to people at a time when like fuck dude, like people are going through it. Just being human, people are going through it. And you create a show that kind of like allows people to just go, I can laugh. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys went nuts second season.
I know. Yeah, there's
Yeah, absolutely.
So fucking crazy.
There's some crazy shit, man.
Yeah, Eugene and Marcus are awesome. You guys got to watch it if you haven't caught up yet. And I'm excited for the second round.
But yeah, I mean, and this conversation never ends, and it shouldn't end, and it won't, especially among us here. So, anytime you Marcus, you want this platform again, like you're welcome to it because we love it. I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to want on the Dumbbells episode watch you do a puppet show, but I will say that I am part of it otherwise.
You definitely want to hear what this black cop has to say about Black Lives Matter. I mean, come on, don't you want to hear what he has? Oh man, come on. You want to hear it. You want to hear it. You want to hear it.
Of all the things that I could imagine would happen and how this episode would end, I would never imagine you fucking pulling out a puppet. That's so funny.
I'll pull out a puppet of a black cop, nonetheless.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
This white man, like, oh my God, huh? Yeah,
Holy
I got
shit.
diversity over here.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
You'll definitely be back. You'll definitely be back here, and whenever you want it or need it or like to be on it, obviously
I'm back. We could do some workout stuff too.
I feel like I should just come back for like a special segment, like each episode. Like there should be like Marcus's corner, like, and we're gonna go over to Marcus's workout corner, and I was just gonna scream Black Lives Matter. That's all. Not even gonna be any workout. This is like how they do on Family Guy. Like now, Ollie with the weather. It's gonna rain. Thanks, Ollie.
I would. Let's talk about that idea because I'm not against it.
I'm not against it.
We are going to cut off our live stream now, but we'll be back. So everybody who is watching on YouTube, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
I hope you're paying attention to what is being said and makes you think. And if you have friends or people that were not watching this with you, know that this podcast will be downloadable and available tomorrow. And also this live stream is available on our Dumbbells YouTube page, so you can show people this conversation. So, So thanks for watching, people on YouTube, and listen to this episode